I started with nothing. No savings, no fancy degree, no investors, not even a clear plan. Just a phone, a few free tools, and an obsession with figuring out how people online were making money while I was working paycheck to paycheck. And I remember the exact moment I decided something had to change. It was 11:43 at night. I was scrolling through my banking app and saw $7.26 sitting in my account. I had bills coming up in 2 days and no shift scheduled for the week. That was the first time I said out loud, "I'm not doing this anymore." This is the story of how I turned $0 into $1,000 a month, consistently, without a job. And before you assume this is some overnight success story, I'll tell you right now. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't easy. But it was possible, and it still is. When you have no money, you start to see money differently. You start realizing that every dollar someone earns online comes from value, not effort. That's the first thing I learned. Value is scalable. Effort isn't. At first, I thought making money online was fake. You see so many people promising shortcuts, selling systems, and showing off cars that probably aren't even theirs. But what they don't show you is the foundation, the boring small steps that actually work. The truth is, the first $1 online is the hardest. But after that, everything changes. Because once you understand why that dollar appeared, you can make it happen again and again until it becomes your new normal. So here's exactly what I did and what I learned along the way. The first thing I did was stop trying to start a business. That might sound strange, but most people who say they're starting a business are really just procrastinating. They're buying logos, setting up websites, researching endlessly. I didn't have that luxury. I needed income, not inspiration. So I focused on finding value leaks, places where people were already spending money, but where I could help them for free at first. I opened my laptop and started exploring local Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and online communities. I wasn't looking for products. I was looking for problems. And I found one. A small local brand in Ontario needed help writing better product descriptions for their handmade goods. They were paying a freelancer $40 per listing, but complained that most of the writing sounded robotic. So I wrote one, for free. I told them, if you like it, you can use it. I spent an hour researching their products and wrote something simple, human, and honest. 2 days later, they messaged me back. Can we pay you to do the rest? That was my first $40. I remember staring at that payment confirmation like it was a miracle. It wasn't the amount. It was the proof that something I created from scratch had value to someone else. I had made money without clocking in, without permission, and without limits. After that, I realized I didn't need to chase jobs. I needed to build skills that people already pay for. So I picked 3. Writing, social media, and design. All free to learn. All valuable anywhere. I watched YouTube tutorials, read blogs, and studied people who were already making a living online. I started noticing patterns, certain types of posts that performed better, headlines that made people stop scrolling, color schemes that made products look expensive. Every night, I took notes. Every morning, I tested them. I wasn't trying to get rich. I was trying to get better. Soon, I started offering those same skills to small businesses. I wrote captions, created social media banners, designed simple graphics, anything that solved a problem. I charged $25 at first, then $50, then $100. And when clients started coming back, I knew I had something real. By month 3, I had a few steady clients paying me around $250 a month combined. That's when it hit me. I wasn't working for people. I was partnering with them. I wasn't selling hours, I was selling outcomes. The $1,000 a month came after I learned how to multiply results, not effort. Here's what I mean. When I realized businesses cared more about growth than posts, I stopped offering social media management. I started offering customer engagement growth. Same work, different language, different value. That shift alone doubled my income. Because people don't pay for tasks, they pay for transformation. At this point, I was spending maybe 2 to 3 hours a day on this. I still didn't consider it a business. It was just me solving problems online. But I was learning something much bigger. Money follows systems, not emotion. So I built my first system. I created a Notion page with 3 columns. Attract. How do I get attention? Convert. How do I turn attention into income? Retain. How do I keep the people who already pay me? I treated it like a game. Every week I'd make tiny improvements. Maybe a better message, a clearer offer, a faster workflow. I stopped worrying about competition because I realized most people quit too soon. And after 6 months, the results were undeniable. I had built something sustainable, not viral, not huge, but steady. $1,000 a month, every month, like clockwork. But here's the part most people miss. $1,000 a month might not sound like much, but it changes your identity. It's the difference between surviving and creating, between worrying and planning. When you go from broke to earning something that didn't exist before, it changes how you see everything. You start to understand leverage. You realize you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be useful somewhere. I didn't build an audience. I built trust. Every client I worked with referred me to someone else, not because I was the best, but because I cared the most. And that's the secret no one talks about. Caring is a competitive advantage. Most people try to automate too early. They forget that relationships scale faster than algorithms. If you help 10 people and each one brings you one more, that's exponential growth. But it only works if you care more about impact than income. Now, when people ask me how I did it, how I turned $0 into $1,000 a month, I tell them it wasn't one trick or one idea. It was mindset. It was realizing that money is everywhere. It just flows toward problem solvers. You don't need permission to start. You don't need investors, a website, or followers. You just need curiosity, discipline, and consistency. The reason most people never make it work is because they expect it to feel exciting. But real progress feels boring. It's small, invisible, and slow until it isn't. You don't notice momentum building until it hits you all at once. For months, it felt like nothing was working. Then suddenly, everything clicked. That's what the climb feels like. It's slow, it's quiet, it's lonely, but it's worth it. Because one day you look at your account, and that extra 1,000 isn't just money. It's proof. Proof that you built something real, from nothing. That's what the Canadian climb is about. It's not about being rich. It's about taking control. It's about building something that gives you freedom, not stress. I'm not saying this to sell you a dream. I'm saying it to remind you that it's possible. You can start with 0. You can start right now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you need. And don't stop until you see the results. Because one day, your first $1,000 will turn into $10,000. And not because you chased money, but because you chased value. People pay for clarity, and the moment you understand that, your whole life changes. So if you're sitting there, stuck at $0, wondering where to begin, start by asking one question. What can I do today that helps someone else? That's how it begins. And if you stay patient, focused, and consistent, it's only a matter of time before you start seeing results that don't make sense on paper, but make perfect sense in hindsight. When I first started, I thought $1,000 a month was the finish line. Now I know it's just the first step. The real goal isn't the money. It's the mindset. It's knowing that you can create something from nothing. And no one can take that away from you. That's why I called this the climb. Because success isn't a finish line. It's a process. And it starts the moment you decide you're done standing still. So if you're ready to start your climb, subscribe and join me. Because this isn't a channel about dreams. It's a channel about doing. And your climb starts today.